What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So right off the bat here, I'm going to start this one off with a question. Could the early launch issues in Test Drive Unlimited hurt this game's future? Which I'm probably sure a lot of people saw that title and they're like, well, wait a second, or, that's probably pretty true. But I did want to talk about this here for a quick second, guys, and give my honest thoughts. So the first thing I do have to say, though, is I did actually post a video on Saturday. Today is Tuesday, 2 days before the actual main game does come out, which is going to be Thursday. But on Saturday, though, I did talk about how I really do think we should give the game a chance. And, even despite the issues like that, we really should probably give it a shot or, give them time to really fix the issues. Funny thing is, I also do have to admit I still go by that. But I also do still admit at the same time, though, I'm not going to lie, there is definitely issues going on in the game. I mean, a few of them right now, like the biggest ones I have noticed playing and also what people are talking about, whether it's going to be on YouTube, Discord, even X and stuff like that, is for one, that is going to be the optimization, guys, number one. Number two is probably going to be the servers. I guess you could probably flip them or put them in the same category, but let's be real though, the graphics are going to have to be updated, and that is probably specifically going to be the main console part of it to where players want the graphics to get better. And then of course on PC it's probably going to be like an optimization thing. I did notice guys seeing like the lighting and stuff outside, noticing some of like the reflections, and I did notice some of the overall graphics do look pretty odd in certain places. Funny thing is, driving down the road you can actually see a lot of like blurriness. I have talked about like the stuttering and stuff like that on the PS5 in performance mode, whereas I can't actually play on the graphic mode because it does hurt my eyes a bit, and I was noticing like the motion of it is very weird. Do not like it. I was noticing other people talking about it. I just do want to let people know, like, I'm not going to jump in and go, yo, everybody, this game is completely perfect, because you know what? That would be a lie. It's not perfect. Can it get perfect one day? Of course it can get better. But the big thing is, though, that is going to take a long time for it to get into that place. And I just feel like the biggest thing with that is patience. But again, I do think that's probably going to be hard to do with how this game did end up coming out. And that is also probably going to be why having the game released like that in early access is probably not going to be the healthiest thing for the game. I mean, let's be honest, guys, a game that actually starts out rough like that will probably have a rough life cycle. But I'm not going to say the game is actually over, like, completely dead, though, because we do know a lot of games that have come out in the past have gotten better over time and are actually thriving now after all the updates. No Man's Sky is really good now. Battlefield 4 was incredibly good. Probably still one of the best Battlefield games to date. Wasn't the best game when it came out, though. My goodness, was that game broken. We also had something like Fallout 76 once again, which I mentioned in that one video. That game did end up getting better over time. We did end up having something like Concord, but that's an entirely different topic, because we all do know how people probably feel about hero shooters, so that was most likely going to be doomed when it actually came out. But I just feel like a lot of players are most likely like, yo, no, we do notice that the game has issues. Like, the server side of it, guys, was a complete nightmare. I do know for a fact the day the game actually came out for the Gold Edition players, most of them could not even get on it, guys. Like, I know that doesn't look good. Funny thing is, I do know for a fact people are going to come through and go, well, if the game was offline, we wouldn't have this issue. And guess what? I have to admit, you are 100% correct. And also on top of that, I do feel like the entire online only thing is not sitting well with people. I'm actually going to make a video about this, guys, coming up soon, talking about a different approach to it, which I really do feel like every game should legitimately be like the From Software series. What I mean by that is like Dark Souls, Elden Ring, Bloodborne, those type of games. In the menu before you actually start the game, you can play the entire thing offline or online. That's legitimately how I think every game should be. Do stay tuned for that video, most likely coming up very soon, because my goodness, that entire topic gets me heated. So that is probably going to be a pretty interesting video. But I definitely understand this though. Like, we all do know right now in like the live service part of it, because the entire game is online, a lot of people are like, well, what about the crew one? Like, what if that does happen? And the way I do look at this though, like, there is no way they're actually going to design Test Drive and not have an offline patch for it in the future. I mean, right, does that actually make sense not to do it? Everybody can actually look at the backlash of the Crew 1 getting shut down, and we all do know how everybody's like, wait a second, that is not going to be a good look on any of these online games, man. And after what's been going on with some of these games, I can definitely see that being a problem. So I would really like to think about that, guys. Like, do you actually think they would make something like Solar Crown, for example, and not have something like an offline patch for it in the future? I mean, it legitimately just doesn't make sense if they did that. And on top of that, guys, again, I definitely understand if the game was offline, we would probably not be having these issues. But I do also have to step out here and say this. I feel like at this point in the game, they definitely can't just jump in and go, okay, boop, boop, boop. And there we are, we actually have the offline patch, and like, I don't think that is going to work. I just feel like at this point in the game, the entire game is like, designed by that, to where we actually have like the clan wars, online stuff, leaderboards. I just feel like they wouldn't be able to actually do it. And on top of that, guys, that is probably going to be one of the biggest reasons why players are most likely looking at like the early access of the game going, man, these servers are terrible right now, which I do know they're going to get better. In fact, they have been. Funny thing is, 2 days after when that video did go up, most of the servers were working better, and at this point here on a Tuesday, it is still probably improving right before the launch day, which is great, because I am very interested to see how the launch day does end up going when most of the servers actually get crowded again. That is probably going to be pretty interesting, and I just feel like a lot of players look at something like the online aspect and go, yeah, nah, bruh, I'm a pass on this one, but if we get an offline patch, I may end up getting it. The worst part, I can't actually blame you on that. Now, I guess we can probably all admit, though, the initial launch for Test Drive is probably going to be a pretty big hit toward, like, the overall player base or people wanting to get it because they might actually be afraid to get the said game with the issues going on. And the crazy part is, I definitely understand it. I do think, guys, the game will definitely get better, but I can't lie on stuff like that and say that, yo, the game is perfect, man, because let's be honest, it isn't. But I do think it can actually get there. Probably me being insanely optimistic and most likely really positive because I just want these games to be good, and I feel like people would agree on this. Speaking of that, though, there's something I also wanted to talk about here quick. So in that video on Saturday, I was talking about Motorfest, and it probably sounded terrible in the aspect of me going, yo, this game is bad, guys, look at the stuff they're doing, and it probably sounded like I was actually down-talking it. To be 100% honest, guys, you want to know why I actually down-talk the game? Because Motorfest legitimately has so much dang potential that it legitimately makes me so dang mad. And that's going to be a big reason why I actually talk about the game a lot, because I do want that game to succeed. We all do know having a lot of good racing games is better than having one good one. That way we're actually going to have like proper, competition to where each game is going to go, ah, nah, bro, we're going to one-up you there. Then they keep doing it to each other, getting dope updates out because the games are competing. But if you actually have one game that's on top of everything, nothing is actually competing with it. So we need all of them to do great. That way new ideas come out to each game, making every single one better. This is also why I get insanely frustrated with Motorfest, man. I really do like that game, and before anybody does go in and go, nah, bro, you don't like it. Look, man, I have almost 900 hours in Motorfest. I really do like that game. I actually jump on it weekly still and play some stuff on there, drive around a bit. Now, of course, with Test Drive coming out, I'm probably not going to play it nearly as often, but I am still going to cover content like that new reveal thing coming out this month, and also the huge update in November. But I can't stand seeing some of these games getting squandered, guys, that have all that potential. We all do know right now with a couple of updates on that game, it would be so dang good. Funny thing is, I actually made a video not too long going over that. I'm actually going to leave a tag on the screen if you guys are interested. My top 5 things that need to be fixed in Motorfest. And you know what? I feel like a lot of them are pretty valid, especially being a year into the game. What's insane about that, though, is I think about Motorfest, then I think about Test Drive. This game is also going to have such a great foundation to it. I do know this game, is going to have its issues, guys. Again, we can't look past those. But the overall fundamentals and the main foundation of Test Drive is so dang fun. I've been having a great time driving around doing the races. I've been having an incredible time on this map for some reason, which I am going to touch on that in a video in the next few days. I've just been having so much fun on it. Yeah, of course, the graphics aren't that great, like I'm stuttering, dropping frames on PS5. But you know what, dude? I am so addicted to it. Doing the races, driving the cars, leveling them up, like the sense of speed. It is just so dang addicting. I feel like players would end up feeling the same way despite some of the issues going on. Isn't that like the main thing here, though? Like, we're all trying to come together to actually enjoy the games and to see all these games really succeed together. That is going to be the biggest thing, though, because if we don't talk about it, how are things ever going to get changed? Like, you have to voice it, get it out there, see if other players agree with it, and then maybe that way the developers can pop in and go, okay, let's fix this, players want it, and they can actually add it. During that interview on the post-launch video for Test Drive, they were actually talking about listening to the community for feedback, whether it's for customization, issues players might have or things players would like to see fixed, and also on top of that, eventually adding body kits. Like, the fact that a developer would actually listen is going to be the key here, man. That is something that we definitely need. I really do have to admit this, Motorfest has been lacking tremendously in that department. I feel like if they actually did better communication, let everybody know what they're working on, what are some of the fixes coming, would be so dang important for an entire fan base or a community. I really do feel like, guys, having more of that is so dang important. But overall, though, guys, I do want to apologize right now if that might have sounded like a rant. I just want these games to succeed like they really can. And I feel like if all of us actually come together, it really could happen. Now, do let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. I am really curious to know everybody's thoughts. And again, the biggest question of this entire video, could the early launch issues of Solar Crown really hurt this game and its future?